Writing compound inequalities from a picture. So remember our compound inequalities, we talked about these yesterday. These are our and or our or inequalities. And inequalities have to work for both. So you kind of shade where like the things are overlapped. That's why they end up being shaded in the middle. So remember, and inequalities are shaded in the middle. Or inequalities just work for one or the other. So these are shaded on the outsides. So if I give you a graph, you can right away decide if it's an and or an or because of where it is shaded, right? So if you look at number 1 here, this is shaded in the middle, right? So if it's shaded in the middle, is it going to be an and or an or inequality? An and. Now there's more than one good way to do this. When you are writing them on your own, it can be tricky to figure out how to put the variable in the middle. So remember when we did those few word problems last class and you could just physically write out and? That's okay, you can still do that. So I would probably start with that again. So this is an and inequality, so I would write and in the middle. And then the next thing I would do is pick a variable, any variable you want. I'll just use x. So I'm going to put an x on the left and an x on the right. Leave yourself room to write the rest of your inequality. And then we can write down our numbers. And then the last thing we're going to do is decide what inequality symbols we need. So what are our two numbers that our dots are at in number 1? -4 and 1. Doesn't really matter which one you put on which side, okay? I just tend to go in order. All right, now we're going to decide our arrows, right? Our inequality symbols, less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. First of all, aren't these both open circles? Okay, so that means we're not going to do the or equal to's. It's either going to be less than, greater than, maybe one of each, okay? So now the trick to deciding this is when you shade these, don't they get shade where they overlapped? So if you think about it, how this would actually look is this graph starts at -4 and goes to the left, or goes to the right, I'm sorry. And then it also starts at -1 and goes to the right. Because and then what, see where the purple and the green are overlapped? It, like in the middle, isn't that where it's shaded? Yeah. So what we're going to do here is if you had started at -4 and you started to shade to the right, isn't that a greater than symbol? So we're going to use a greater than symbol. If you started at 1 and shaded to the left, wouldn't that be a less than symbol? Yeah, so just put a less than symbol. With these ones, since it's going to be shaded in the middle like that, you want one of each sign. You want one going one way and one going the other because they need to overlap. And this would be your answer. Okay. I'm sorry? Yes, Dallas. Why are they the same? Some of them, so it might depend on the order that they were written in, or that's more likely, I would have to look and see which example we were talking about. I can always look at your packet and see though. Oh, I remember why they're written the same way. It's because on your notes, they're combined into one inequality, so one of the symbols has to flip around. So like for this, isn't this two separate inequalities? Yeah. But on your notes, they were written as one inequality with x in the middle, right? Yeah. So what happens if you write it as one inequality with x in the middle, Dallas? You would have to have your x in the middle, right? And then I like to go from my smallest number to my biggest number. So you would have your -4 and then your 1. But if you look at these signs, on this part on the left, wasn't -4 on the right, but now isn't it on the left? So what would have to happen is you'd have to flip your sign around. That's why it looks a little bit different on ones that are given to you. I know, it's a little tricky. That's why we don't do it like this, so that you don't have to worry about flipping anything around, okay? Yeah, so I wouldn't, on the test, if there's one like that, I'll probably write it both ways, okay? All right, so number 2, but that was a good question. Number 2, is this going to be an and or an or inequality? An and, because it's shaded in the middle, so go ahead and write and. Then go ahead, step 2, write your variables, whatever letter you want to pick. I'm going to do x's. Make sure you leave yourself room for your inequality. And then what 2 numbers are my circles at? -2 and 6. Good. Now we need our symbols. So at -2, when you start at -2, our shading then goes to the right, correct? So if we're starting at -2 with a closed circle and then our shading goes to the right, what inequality symbol would we use there? We're going up, so it is a greater than, and then if it's filled in, or equal to, yeah, you need the line underneath for that one. Then at the 6, we have an open circle, and then it started to go to the left. So what symbol would you use if it's an open circle and it goes to the left? Less than, very good. Good. All right, number 3. Would this be an and or an or? It would be an or. Good, Mason. Yes, that's correct. This one would be an or, so go ahead and write your or. Go ahead and pick your variable, leave yourself room. And then let's pick our numbers. What numbers are our dots at in this one? Lynn? -1 and 4. Good. Make sure you always put those on the right-hand side of your X, or whatever letter you picked. Now let's pick our inequality symbols. So from -1, we had an open circle, and then we went to the left. So what inequality symbol would have an open circle and then go to the left? Less than. Good. Then for the 4, there was a closed circle, and then it went to the right. So what symbol would you use there? Very good. Greater than or equal to. Good. All right, and the last one of these, is this an and or an or? Or. How can you tell that it's an or? Very good. You're shading on the outsides. So write down your or, pick your variable, and then we'll write down our numbers. What numbers are our circles at in number 4? 0 and 2, that is correct. And then you just need your symbols. So from 0, we have an open circle, and then we go to the left. What symbol would that be? Less than. Good. And then for the 2, we had a close, or no, I'm sorry, that one's also an open circle, but this time we're going to the right. What symbol would that be? Greater than. Good. Good, good. Questions, concerns? We have these 4 down? You got those down, Lynn? Yeah? All right, cool. Okay, good. No, that's totally fine. You can always work ahead. All right, so now we're going to solve some multi-step compound inequalities. So remember, when we're solving our inequalities, you treat them like equations. You do opposite operations for all parts of the inequality. And don't forget to flip the symbol if you're multiplying or dividing by a negative number. So example 2 here, we're going to solve each compound inequality. Make sure you get the variable by itself, and we're going to go, as we go through, this time I think I have them mixed up with, no, I do ands, and then we do ors. Okay. So we're going to look at our ands first. I'm confused though. How can I tell this is an and? I don't see the word and written. Well, not necessarily bigger number. You could have small numbers with an and, Asia. Right, it's all clumped together, right? If it's an and, we want everything together because we want it to work for both, right? Could they have physically written an and? Sure, but this is the way you'll typically see it. When you're writing your own, it's easier for you guys to actually write out and, but when you're solving them, this is how you'll normally see it. Good, so we have the inequality. 99 is greater than or equal to 9n plus n is greater than negative 45. No, technically you would have to write it as two completely separate inequalities. It would be 9n plus 9 is less than or equal to 99 and then you'd have to write the other side. It's just tricky. I wouldn't do that. Yeah, I would leave it the way it is for these. All right, so now we need to solve. The only thing that's a little different from yesterday is that there's just a little bit more going on. These are going to have 2 or 3 steps instead of just 1. We want to get our variable all by itself in the middle. So treat this just like you would a normal equation. If you had 9n plus 9 on one side of a normal equation, what would you do first to start solving it? What would be an opposite operation you could do? Dallas? You would subtract 9. Now, the only thing that's different here is, aren't there technically 3 parts to our inequality here? We have a middle, a left, and a right. So if we subtract 9 from the middle, you also have to subtract it from the left and the right. Exactly. Okay. So now you have 99 minus 9. What's 99 minus 9? 90 is greater than or equal to 9n is greater than, and then negative 45 minus 9. I would use your calculator. What? No, you added. No, that's okay. Negative 45 minus 9. Try it out, guys. Use your calculators. I'm not your human calculator. What'd you say? Negative 54 is correct. Good. Yeah, always add same signs, right? The negative for the, yeah. All right, now we have 9n in the middle. How would we get rid of this other 9? Yeah, because right now it's being multiplied, so we would divide. Divide the middle, the left, and the right by 9. What's 10 divided by 9? I just said it. What's 90 divided by 9? 10 is greater than or equal to n, not 9. That 9 would be gone. Yeah, good. And then greater than negative 6. That's the answer. Good. So now let's refresh our memory on graphing. Open or close circle at 10? Closed. Yeah, good, Mason. I just saw that. Closed circle at 10. What about at negative 6? Open. Now this is an and. So where do we shade if it is an and? To the middle. Very good. Good. Good, good. All right. We are going to do number 2 and number 3 together, and then I'm going to have you guys try 4 on your own, okay? So let's go over and do number 2. This time we have 2 is less than or equal to negative 6m minus 10 is less than or equal to 44. We want to get our m all by itself in the middle here. So what would be our first opposite operation that we could do? Add 10, add 10 to the middle, to the left, and to the right. Good. 2 plus 10, not 2 times. 2 plus 10 is 12. Is less than or equal to? You're thinking 6 plus 10, but in the middle here, Alex, these 10s are just going to cancel. So in the middle, you're just going to have negative 6m. Does that make sense? Okay. And then on the other side, you're going to have 44 plus 10, which is 54. This mask does not want to stay on. 54. Good. Now we have a negative 6m in the middle. How would you get rid of negative 6 times m? Divide by negative 6. All right, divide by negative 6. Interesting, we're dividing by a negative. Can someone remind me the special fancy thing that happens when we divide by negatives? Yep, the sign is going to change. You're going to take it, you're going to flip it. So first, 12 divided by negative 6. Remember, a positive divided by a negative is a negative. So you'll have negative 2. Your less than or equal to is going to switch around, become a greater than or equal to. Your negative 6's in the middle cancel, so you'll just have an m. Your less than or equal to here will become a greater than or equal to. And then 54 divided by negative 6 is, any ideas? Negative 9. For a sleepy kid, you're doing really well today, Dallas. I can just see it in your eyes. They're like closing. He's fading back there. All right. Bailey, open or close circle at negative 2. Yep. I agree with you. It would be closed. Asia, what about at negative 9? It would also be closed. And then Lynn, where do we shade if it's an and? In the middle. Woo. Awesome, I'll make you go run a lap or something. All right. Ooh, what a thought, Bailey. Let's keep going and maybe we'll earn that break. All right, number 3. This one we're going to do together again, and then I'm going to have you guys try out 4. So number 3, we have negative 74 is less than negative 8k plus 6 is less than or equal to negative 58. All right, we want to get k all by itself in the middle. So we have negative 8k plus 6. Treat this just like a normal equation. What would you do to get rid of that 6, Lynn? Very good. We would subtract 6. Subtract 6 from the middle, from the left, and from the right. Now, we have a lot of negatives here, so do we want to guess with our addition and subtraction? No, what should we do? Use a calculator, okay? Negative 74 minus 6. Negative 80, very good. Negative 80 is less than, in the middle, your 6's will cancel. So you'll have negative 8k, those cancel, and then is less than or equal to negative 58 minus 6. Negative 58 minus 6, what do we think? Negative 64, good. What do you mean? We have negative numbers here. Oh, your final answer? You might have forgot to divide by the negative, maybe. So, last step, what do I divide by? What kind of 8? Negative 8. Divide the middle, the left, and the right by -8. What happens when we divide by a negative? Signs change, flip them around. So, and if you want, could you go ahead and write that down like first thing before you even figure out your numbers? Sure, like you could flip this less than, make it a greater than, put your K in the middle, make that a greater than or equal to, and then write down your numbers. What's a negative divided by a negative? A positive, and then 80 divided by 8 is just 10. Then on the other side, again, what's a negative divided by a negative? A positive, and what's 64 divided by 8? 8. So you have 10 is greater than K is greater than or equal to 8. Let's see. Aaron, open or close circle at 10? Open. Annalise, open or close circle at 8? It would be closed. So for this one, if it's an and, where do we shade on our line? Yeah, in the middle. Okay. Good. All right. Number 4, try this one out. All right, number 4, let's go over it. We have -35 is less than or equal to 3n. -8 is less than -23. Mason, what would be our first step here? Yeah, we're gonna add 8. Add 8 to the middle, to the left, to the right. Good. When I add 8, Dallas, what's -35 plus 8? -27. Drop down your less than or equal to, your 8's in the middle, cancel. So then you have 3n in the middle is less than, Lynn, what's -23 plus 8? -23 plus 8. -15, good. And then, Jake Sanders, what would be my next step? What do I do with a 3, Jake Sanders? Yep, we divide. Divide the middle, divide the left, divide the right. So when I divide, Mason B, what's -27 divided by 3? Correct, -9 is less than or equal to, you'll just have your n in the middle, is less than, and then Nick, what is -15 divided by 3? -5. And there's your final answer. Peyton, at -9, would we use an open or a closed circle? Closed, good. -9 would be between our -10 and -8. Corey, what about at -5? Open or closed? Open, good. -5 would be between -4 and -6. And then Jesse, if this is an and, where do I shade? In the middle. Good. 8x plus 6 is less than -66. Oh, I know, I'm going to show you. So 8x plus 6 is less than -66, or 2 plus 6x is less than or equal to -22. So, is this one an and or an or? This one is an or, because we can actually see the word or written in it, right? Now, when it's an or, it's separated. It's like two separate inequalities. So what we have to do on these is solve the inequality on the left all the way, then solve the inequality on the right all the way, and then just make sure you put or in the middle. Okay, and these are just two-step ones. So ignore this one on the left. If I could cover it up, I would, but I can't on my computer. So ignore this one on the right. Sorry, I said the left. Ignore this one on the right. Only focus on this one on the left right now. We have 8x plus 6 is less than or equal to negative 66. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to erase it so we don't even look at it. Okay. So just focus on this one. What would our first step be to get x all by itself? Well, right now we're adding 6, so the opposite of adding would be subtraction. So subtract 6. Now this one only has 2 sides, so just subtract from the left and the right. So now we have 8x. Our 6's cancel is less than, and now we have negative 66 minus 6. So you might want to throw that one in your calculator. Negative 72. Good. Now you still have that x. There's still a number next to it. How would you get rid of the 8? Divide by 8. Ooh, you okay? You okay over there? No, I get it. All right. So we have x is less than, and then negative 72 divided by 8. A negative divided by a positive is a negative. And 72 divided by 8 would be 9. I know, I do that a lot. Okay, now drop down your or. Or has to be part of your answer. And now we're going to do the other side. So now we're going to deal with this 2 plus 6x is less than or is greater than or equal to negative 22. Very good. We would subtract 2. Subtract 2 from the left and the right. Your 2's will cancel. So bring down your 6x is greater than or equal to. And what is negative 22 minus 2? What kind of 24? Negative 24. Bailey, can you see this okay? Okay. No, you just looked like you were squinting, so I was just checking. Because I can zoom in. Sorry. All right, so now, what can you do next with your 6? Yeah, very good. We're going to divide it. And then you have x is greater than or equal to, what is negative 24 divided by 6? What kind of 4? Negative 4. And then both of these guys with the or in the middle, that is your answer. You're correct. When you divide by a negative, the 6 though is positive. Right? If the 6 was negative, then yes, absolutely. Do you see the difference? Okay. Perfect. Now, let's put our dots at negative 9. Open or close circle? Open. Good. What about at negative 4? Closed. That was Aaron. Okay. All right. Now, if it's an or, do we shade in the middle or on the outsides? Outsides. Yes, yes. Outside with the arrows, as Jaden would say. All right. Very good. A little bit more work, but that's okay. We only have a few of them to do, and I want us to get good practice. Because what's on Friday? A test. Whew. Because you're right. That's the natural answer when a teacher's like, "What's happening this day?" Don't cry, Alex. It'll be okay. We'll figure it out. All right, number 6. I think it'll be better, I think, Alex, when you're able to take all your tests in person. I think that'll be helpful for you. All right, so number 6, we have negative 4 minus 3n is less than or equal to 13, or, and I'm not even going to write the other side yet because we don't need to deal with it yet. Just don't forget about it when we do our final thing. And I just like to rewrite it so I have plenty of room and such. All right, so now we are trying to get our n all by itself. Very good, Alex. We would add 4. Add 4 to the left and the right. Our 4's will cancel. We'll have negative 3n is less than or equal to negative 13 plus 4. What is, very good, negative 9. Oh no, what's happening here? There we go. Negative 9. And then what would my next step be? Divide by what kind of 3? Negative 3, good. Very good, Dallas. We do switch our symbol because we're dividing by a negative. So this is going to switch to n is greater than or equal to. Class, what's a negative divided by a negative? A positive. And what's 9 divided by 3? 3. Drop down your or. And now we are on our other side with 5n plus 5 is less than negative 10. Good. Nick, what would my first step be with 5n plus 5 is less than negative 10? Yeah, subtract the 5. Sorry. Better? All right. So yes, we are going to subtract our 5. So that's going to give you 5n. These 5's cancel. Is less than, and then what is negative 10 minus 5? Negative 15. Very good. And then next step, Mason B, what would we do next? Any ideas, Mason? I'm not sure where Mason went. Corey, what would we do next? I think everyone fell asleep during our break. Oh, you're here. What do we do, Annalise? You would divide. Good job. All right, so you would divide, and you have n is less than, what is negative 15 divided by 5? What's a negative divided by a positive? A negative, and what's 15 divided by 5? 3. Good. So you'll have n is greater than or equal to 3, or n is less than negative 3. Mason Jimenez, at the positive 3, what kind of circle do we use? Yeah, at this 3. Open or closed circle? Closed, good. Jake Sanders, what about at the negative 3? What kind of circle do I use? Open, good. And Asia, where do I shade if it's an or inequality? To the outsides, very good. Good. Oh, yeah, you got turned on. That's okay. That happens. All right, Alex, you're not on your phone, are you? All right, number 7. We have n plus 3x is less than or equal to negative 21, or negative 1 plus 7x is greater than or equal to 48. We're going to do this one together. Then I'm going to have you guys try out 8 on your own. So I'm going to write down my left-hand side first. We have 6 plus 3x is less than or equal to negative 21. Or, and I'm not going to worry about writing down the other side yet until we get there. So if I was working from my document camera, I would actually cover it up, but I can't on my computer. So we are trying to get our x by itself. We have 6 plus 3x. Hannah, what do you think I would do first? Oh, Hannah left. I think she's having some issues with her microphone. So we'll go up to Erin. What would I do with it? What would I do first in this one? Very good. We would subtract 6 from both sides. And that would give us 3x is less than or equal to negative 27. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you because we got stuff to get through. You might have missed a negative sign because it should be the little negative in the front and then 21 minus 6. Did you forget a negative? Oh, okay. All right, and then what do we do next, Lynn? We divide by 3. And we will have x is less than or equal to negative 27 divided by 3 is negative 9. That's fine, Hannah. No worries. What? Now drop down your or, and we are on the right-hand side now. We got negative 1 plus 7x is greater than or equal to 48. So Hannah, back to you then. What do we do first on this one? What do we have to do with the 1 first? We will divide 7, but we'll do that second. What do we need to do with? Yeah, very good. We're going to add 1, but then you're right. We're going to add 1, and then we're going to divide by 7. Good. Add your 1 first, because isn't this a negative 1? Remember, your negative sign's more important, so do the opposite of the negative. So add that, and you'll have 7x is greater than or equal to 49. And then Hannah said we must divide by 7. So we'll do that next, and you'll have x is greater than or equal to 49 divided by 7 is 7. Good. Nick, open or close circle at negative 9. Closed, good. Where would negative 9 be? Oh, I don't like this number line. Oh, this one goes by 2s, but it's every other. This is real ugly. So this would be negative 8 here. This is negative 10. So negative 9 would be in between these two. That's kind of ugly. And then same idea with the 7. This is 4. So this next line is 6. And then the next line is 8. So 7 would go between 6 and 8. And use solid circles for both. And then Jake Sanders, where do we shade? On the outsides or in the middle? Outsides, good. Good. All right, okay. So, number 8. We got negative 4x plus 2 is less than negative 30 on the left. Let's look at that first. Aaron, what do we do first in this part? Subtract 2 from both sides. I agree. That'll give us negative 4x is less than negative 32. Mason J, what would I do then? Well, so this one, we're trying to get rid of this negative 4, right? So this means negative 4 times x. So how would you get rid of multiplying? You don't have to do that yet. You're thinking addition, subtraction, okay? This is multiplication, so how do you get rid of multiplication? Division, so we would divide both sides by negative 4. The only time we have to like switch anything like that, Mason, is if you see a plus or minus sign between the two things. Does that kind of make sense? Okay. Dallas, what's going to happen here? That's kind of weird. What are we going to have to do with our sign? Why do I have to flip it, Dallas? Right, I divided both sides by a negative, so flip your less than, make it a greater than. And negative 32 divided by negative 4 is positive 8. Okay? Make sure you're getting this one done, Bailey. Bring your or down. And now we're on the other side where we have negative 1 plus 5x is less than 29. Annalise, what would we do first on this side? Very good. We got to get rid of that 1, so we're going to add 1 to both sides. That would give us 5x is less than 30. And Hannah, what would we do next? Yep, we're going to divide by 5. Good. And that's going to be x is less than 6. That one we did not have to flip around. Asia, open or close circle at 8. Open. Bailey, open or close circle at 6. Yeah, good save there, good save. And then Lynn, where do I shade? Yeah, on the outside. Yay! All right, I think we have time for one word problem and then we'll call it a day. Just because there's one on your homework, so I want to make sure we see it. Okay. Yes, we're shading here. We're shading on the outside, yes. All right. Oh, I left. Someone left. Goodbye. Okay. I should. All right. Oh no, what happened? Oh, something weird happened. I don't know. I did something. What'd I do? There we go. Okay. So one last problem, guys. We're going to look at an inequality. The cookie recipe you're using will make more than 16 cookies, but less than 20 cookies. Write a compound inequality that represents the number of cookies you could make. So when we look at this, we need to first identify our important numbers. What are our two important numbers? 16 and 20 cookies. Good. What about some math action words? More than. What was the other one you said, Asia? But less than, but yeah. And then it says to write a compound inequality that represents the number of cookies you could make. So we need to assign a variable. Oh, that's okay. We're going to assign a variable. I'm going to do C equals number of cookies. Now, if I'm making a recipe and it tells me this recipe could make more than 16, but less than 20, is my number of cookies going to be inside of that, like that range, or outside of that range? Inside. So think about the kinds of graphs we've seen. If it's inside a range, is this an and or an or? It's an and because it goes in the inside, right? It's in the middle. This is basically saying this recipe is going to make somewhere between 16 and 20 cookies. So this is an and inequality, so I want you guys to write down your and. Ooh, except that didn't really work out for me, did it? So write down your and we're going to make more than 16 cookies. So how could I show that more than 16 cookies? What symbol would I use for more than? Yeah, more than would be a greater than. So C could be greater than 16. That's okay. And less than 20. How would you, what less than just a less than, right? So then you would do C is less than 20 on the other side. Good. So more than 16 and less than 20. So somewhere in between that. Good. That's the whole problem. So in that case, I lied to you. We have time for number 2. Ha ha ha. 35. All right, number 2, you're saving up money to go on vacation. You want to save no less than $50, but no more than $75. Write a compound inequality that represents the amount of money you need to save. What are my important numbers? 50 and 75. What are my important math action words? No less than and no more than. And then it says to write a compound inequality that represents the amount of money you need to save. What would be a reasonable variable to use? Sure, M for money. Good? Now this one, it says you want to save no less than 50, but no more than 75. So again, think about this. The amount of money you want to save. Do you want it to be between 50 and 75 or on the outsides of 50 and 75? In the insides, between. So is this an and or an or? Another and. So write down your and. Good. And then it says no less than 50. So my amount of money on one side needs to be no less than 50. Remember, no less than means like not less than. So if it's not less than, it is greater than. The other thing we need to decide is, can it be equal to? So if I say you can have no less than $50 when you show up, is it okay to have exactly 50? Yes, so this should be a greater than or equal to 50 and no more than 75. If I say you can bring no more than $75, is it okay to have exactly 75? Yes. Can you have more than 75? No. Can you have less than 75? Yes. So this would be M is less than or equal to 75. And then that's it for those ones. Is there a number 3? Oh, that's okay. I think we're okay there for now. All right, because we only have 3 minutes left. So people at home,